Keys of Effective Thinking. Stay aware and focused and avoid vague language. By Peter Gerlach. Lesson 2.11. Lesson 2 of 7. Learn to communicate effectively from the website Break the Cycle. So, skipping the first few paragraphs. Implication. Most of us aren't aware of how ineffective, unfocused, irrational, fragmented, vague thinking hinders feeling current needs. It's encouraging to read that researchers are starting to study the epidemic phenomenon of mind wandering and not paying attention. So there is a brief YouTube video, you can go and watch it. This article provides premises about why we think and effective thinking, how to assess the effectiveness and how to think the important situations, premises on what causes ineffective thinking, and practical ways to think more effectively when you need to. Have you ever thought about how you think? On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the effectiveness of your thinking in general, blank, and in stressful situations, blank? This article assumes you are familiar with the introduction to this non-profit website and the premises underlying it. Online Lesson 1 and 2. This is perspective and personal awareness and effective frequently asked questions about personality subsets. See how these ideas compare to yours. Communication exists to help animals like us to reduce current emotional, physical, and spiritual discomforts or needs. Effective communication fills primary needs well enough. Thinking is internal communication among our personality subsets in 3 domains: conscious, semi-conscious, and unconscious. So this ceaseless internal communication process uses information processing rules like logic, reasoning, grammar, and syntax to help us make sense of understand sensory information and perceived environmental events, so we can identify and prioritize our current needs, discomforts, and choose behaviors that fill our current needs well enough. Effective thinking means using awareness plus conscious thoughts, memories and reflexes, hunches, and unconscious inputs to identify current primary needs and decide how to fill them well enough. Ineffective thinking interferes with these 2 goals. The rest of this article offers practical options for raising your mental effectiveness. What is effective thinking? Premise. The purpose of thinking is to make sense of, understand our current inner and outer environments, so we can decide A, what we need now, and B, how to best fill these needs. Can you think of other reasons you think? Implications. Thinking and feeling automatically build a huge database memory about all the inner and outer things you have experienced. For example, you learn that butterflies and broccoli are safe to touch, and ratless snakes usually aren't. Your conscious minds use the ever-growing database to make sense out of the current perceptions and sensations. Recent medical research reveals that normal kids and adults have several different brain regions which act as network of temporary long-term databases and processing centers. 2 levels. There seems to be at least 2 levels of making sense. One is via thoughts, which are inner strings of learned words. Words are symbols we began collecting to infancy to represent thousands of concepts. Well, you can also think that words are vibrations. Okay? Because a picture is worth 1,000 words, thinking can also involve our innate ability to form inner images and wave them among our words to enrich and simplify making sense of the world. Some people are more visual than others. They have a wider capacity to recall or invent meaningful inner images, and or they use more images in their information processing than other people. Are you a visual person? Do you know anyone who is? Common alternatives are kinesthetic, touch and action oriented, and oral or audible sound oriented. The other level of making sense of the world seems more primitive. It may lack word, symbols, and reasoning like a newborn infant does. It reacts to perceived information stimuli via a fluid mix of vaguely felt hunches, intuitions, instincts, dreams, senses. I sense you are angry now, and or knowings. This form of mysterious province or of our unconscious mind, it can be thought as a crisis backup system to help us to survive when we are not consciously thinking too well. Distraction-free meditation and how learned vocabulary can help us consciously discern and identify more feelings, hunches, and instincts. Doing, doing so adds them to the database your conscious mind uses to define, rank, and instruct your body to fill your current needs. I feel thirsty. I need to stop reading and drink something. There seems to be a time lag for some of us. Our unconscious mind body can know what we need before our conscious mind makes sense of things. Do you ever experience that? Premises. See how you feel about these proposals. Your thinking is semi-automatic, organic, mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional. Process that combines conscious and unconscious decoding, sense making of a ceaseless information from your five or six senses, using A, several mental databases, and B, learn information processing rules. Semi-automatic suggests that your conscious mind can control some of your thinking process, just as you can learn to change your breathing, sleeping, and eating habits. This implies that you can learn to improve the effectiveness of your thinking within limits. Do you agree? You can assess the effectiveness of your conscious and unconscious thinking process over time period by deciding how consistently you get your current primary needs met well enough. This implies you need to be clearly aware of what you think, feel, and need. IU. Common symptoms of ineffective thinking and unawareness are often feeling worried, dissatisfied, frustrated, anxious, irritable, tired, guilty, lonely, and or upset, and or you often feel I don't know what I need right now. There are usually symptoms of a deeper problem, being often dominated by protective false self. So your emotions and body sensations indicate the effectiveness of your current conscious plus unconscious thinking. Do you agree? What causes effective thinking? Ineffective thinking. Recall that ineffective thinking makes accurate sense of out current inner and outer event, defines and prioritizes current primary needs, and evolves safe, healthy ways to fill current and long-term needs well enough. Ineffective thinking hinders these goals. Do you agree? Except for organic brain malfunctions, ineffective thinking is caused by factions like these. A personality governed by disorganized subselves, a false self. This is like a committee meeting where everyone talks at once. No one hears well. An effective group processing is proactive at best. A solution is to steady commitment to some versions of online lesson work. Emotional numbness and or unawareness of our output environments. This is like a radio with no antenna. Over time we grow numb to our numbness. Chronic emotional numbness, I don't know what I feel or need now, is a common symptom of significant psychological wounds. Typical ineffective thinkers lack awareness of their inner process that translates current mental, emotional, and physical signals into understanding what current needs. This is like being unaware of breathing, posture, and social eye contact habits, and they lack knowledge of how personality subselves affect perceptions, reactions, behaviors, including thinking and social communications. What's possible? Typical ineffective thinkers don't know what they are missing on their options for improvement, and they lack a vocabulary to accurately describe the data they get from their minds and body. Having a small vocabulary is like trying to paint a fine portrait with a broom. An effective thinker lacks knowledge of communication basics and skills which empower people to define their needs clearly and to act to fill current needs effectively. In other words, typical ineffective thinkers they don't know the vital information that comprises lesson 1 and 2 here. Two more factors that promote ineffective social thinking are constant distraction and social disinterest. Our high stimulus warp speed culture is used to unawares and ineffective thinking and promotes by ignoring it. Because of the factors above and lack of public demand, the people controlling our media and educational systems and progress don't focus on effective thinking. More some business leaders do to raise their profits. The ceaseless sensory stimuli of our culture bombards us with promotes personal social numbness and information overload. Our information age flood of data, images, and sounds constantly distract us from growing the habit of quiet, focused awareness and clear thinking. What does this happen to you? Reality check. Can you recall a recent radio or TV program or article, billboard, local school program or course that focuses how to think effectively versus logically? In your many years of school, did you ever focus on this subject? Once you understand what causes ineffective thinking, you can choose among these options. 1. In critical, conflictual, or focusing situations, A. Confirm that your true is in charge, and then B. Ask questions like this. What do you or I need right now, specifically, in general, from me or from you? What have you or I tried already? What did you I get specifically? And what do you or I feel in the way of getting enough of what you I need specifically? Specifically, invite you to avoid vague terms and phrases 5 below. The last question is not an invitation to blame someone, including yourself, any more than you have blamed a car tire for going flat. Ah, what a stupid, irresponsible tire. This brings up to another impactful option. Ignoring this option will dilute or block benefits from the rest of these options. 2. Your your executive subself must want to become more aware by doing these things like practicing this simple exercise regularly without trying to be perfect, quitting tobacco and another downer chemicals like ethanol, alcohol, can help raise your present moment awareness. So can learning to breathe well from your belly versus from your chest. And meditating, and for that you need to eat less. So you can learning to meditating and objectively noticing your inner and physical dynamics and trying the ideas in Julie Cameron's useful book The Artist Way. People who choose to overload themselves with responsibilities and tasks have lots of distractions to block their inner awareness. So do people, which means false selves, to avoid journaling, meditating, and on relaxing quietly in nature. Zen, Buddhism, and similar practices promote raising present moment awareness. Paradox, you will not experience the great benefit of awareness until you try it. 3. Evolve your own definition of effective thinking and practice using it to gauge your status and progress. Try saying your definition out loud. 2 signs of effective thinking and awareness are feeling calm, centered, secure, and serene, and B. Conscious clarity on your current primary needs and potential ways to feel them. Option 4. Coach yourself to notice your body signals in all situations and develop awareness of feelings that indicate self-control. False self-control. Conversely, notice how your body feels when your self is guiding you, other sub-selves, and your thinking is effective. Noticing improves when you A. breathe from your belly and B. ask with an open mind, what am I feeling physically right now? In random and important situations. 5. Practice viewing A. personal and interpersonal problems as fulfilled needs and B. each adult and child non-emergency needs as being just legitimate and worthy as yours. That will promote wanting to discern what do and I really need right now. When true selves are in lead, discovering mutual current primary needs allows win-win problem solving if both people have reasonable fluency in using these communication skills. 6. Regard all your emotions as useful signals about current needs. If your inner critic and or moralizer were trained to denounce anger, fear, shame, confusion, frustration, and guilt as bad or negative, they are A. ignoring what your other subselves are trying to communicate, and B. probably shaming them. That hinders inter-family harmony and degrades your thinking. Note the difference between feeling an emotional and expressing it. When people label an emotion bad or negative, they are usually referring to A. related discomfort, guilt, feels, and bad, and B. ways of expression. When Chris gets angry, she or he screams and gets physically violent. This labeling promotes guilt and shame, and hinders effective communication and problem solving. Accepting that all emotions are valuable rather than good or bad may be a core attitude change. 7. Learn and appreciate the 7 communication skills in lesson 2. Then use the skills and these communication process terms to try mapping communication sequences between A. Conflicted subselves and B. You and other people. Use an awareness and mapping to spot situation and or chronic ineffective thinking so you can improve it. You can also use mapping to spot any of these common communication blocks and learn use these 7 skills to resolve them. 8. Coach yourself and those who love you to become fuzzy and hand grenade word hunters. Vague words and misunderstanding. People who have chronic trouble resolving conflicts well enough use vague language, pronounce fuzzy thinking, and or they don't check to see if their partner decodes the meaning of their words the way they do. Common vague terms are it, that, those, the problem, the issue, these things, soon, and them is talking about complex personal and social problems, for instance. We have to find a way to make it better. It's far less likely to promote effective communication and problem solving than I need to understand specifically what you need from me now about my daughter and recent disrespectful behavior. Option. Build the habit of respectfully asking yourself and your communication partners what is it that the problem, them, those things, all that stuff deal with. Often that will uncover an inadequate vocabulary and on ineffective thinking and unseen false self-dominance. Another type of fuzzy terminology and thinking is usually general and slang terms to mean specific things. For example, if you say, at times you really upset me, you have a harder time unearthing what you need if you choose more specific words like, Wanda, when you repeatedly interrupt me before I'm finished speaking, I feel disrespected, hurt, frustrated, and like cleaning up and walking out. Composing statements like this takes intentional focus and awareness until it becomes a habit. Option. Develop your skill and reflex to listening empathetically in important situations. For example, to hearing checks. When you're effective subself and other partners, this can expose misunderstandings and broad assumptions over keywords and phrases. For example, you say calmly, so Marta, you are asking me for more intimacy, meaning better sex. So she replies, no, honey, I need more time just holding each other and talking like we used to. I really need to know how you are feeling and what you want. You rarely talk about those. And I feel shut out, frustrated in actions. Our love making is usually fine for me. Hand grenade words and phrases. Hand grenade words and phrases are terms that emotionally explosive. For example, they provoke significantly hurt, guilt, shame, fear, disgust, and anger in one or more people. Using provocative language and can activate the listener's false self and instantly raise their E levels so they lose their ability to hear. People accumulate different collections of hand grenade words options. Evolve list of such terms that occur in your in and out of relationships and consciously choose to avoid them. That will probably require yourself, capital S, to confront key subselves to love those terms. Abuse, abused, abusive, abuser, raped, raped, brainless, maroon, dumb, dumbass, dance, stupid, stupidity, racist, bigot, overreact, winkling, whore, prick, sexist, macho, chauvinist, mama's boy, addicted, addict, addicted, your addiction, selfish, self-centered, egotistic, arrogant, bully, real woman or real man, husband, wife, partner, parent, snob, snobbish, stuck-up, dictator, abort, abortion, abortist, baby killer, idiot, Ricard, moron, ignorant, manipulative, neglectful, sinner, childish, sleazy, coward, wimp, thoughtfulness, controlling, Jesus freak, immature, loser, failure, irresponsible, insensitive, mental case, liar, con, sicko, wacko, pig-headed, bitch, bastard. Other powerful hand grenade words donate racial or religion scorn, disrespect, or bigotry. The way these words are spoken, voice tone, inflection, facial expressions can make them explosive or okay. Umbrella terms for using provocative words like are name calling, being mean, full mouth, and blaming. Chronic or situational use for provocative terms and phrases usually signals a false self-control of the speaker, and b they are aware of or don't know care about the effects of their behavior on the receiver or their relationship. The speaker's ruling selves have one superior attitude and one person or no person's awareness bubble. For example, Jeff, when it comes to confronting your ex-wife, you turn into a spineless yellow-billed coward. Hand grenade face. May really mean, Jeff, I am frustrated, confused, and scared. I need to regain my respect for you and my trust in you to keep our relationship safe by wanting to be more assertive with your ex-wife for your sake, not to please me. Note this can be received as an unintended communication block called the be spontaneous paradox. If your experience can ineffective thinking and unawares usually promote each other, the more important you feel the situation or relationship is, that the more you can benefit from being alert for vague and provocative terms, and B, for people or subselves having different interpretations of key words and phrases. The learnable communication skills of awareness, meta talk, talking about communication, and empathetic listening are major helps here. They apply to the way you think. Your subselves communicate as well as how you talk. Option 9. Build your vocabulary for sharper thinking and speaking. This may feel pretty vague and overwhelming. Try restricting your learning goals to several classes of words, for example, and phrases. For instance, patiently explain your inventory of words and that describe emotions. There are several dozen useful descriptions. How many can you name? How many do you use regularly? Primary needs. I need respect, security, appreciation, challenge, purpose, and stimulation. Communication dynamics and blocks. Family and relationship terms. Common family health factors. Psychological wounds and symptoms. Does building spatial vocabulary like this feel more doable than learning the whole dictionary? Breaking big tasks into manageable chunks and prioritizing them is typical of a true self in charge. Do the young people in your life know how and when to do this yet? 10. Coach yourself to identify specifically what you need. What do you expect from yourself and others? Typical stressed, overbusy, wounded adults, and all kids are unaware or can't articulate what they expect from themselves and others, and or they usually aren't explained and confirm their expectations, and or they haven't reality checked whether their expectations are realistic or appropriate now. All of these promote ineffective thinking and communicating. A tragically frequent example is this ineffective, wounded, unaware person, including yourself, to behave like an informed person, guided by their true self. This is unrealistic as expecting the person to rise into the air by flapping their arms. Unawareness of unrealistic role and relationship expectations is a frequent stressor in typical trouble low nurturing families and new step families. Option 11. Work with a motivated partner to learn and practice these effective thinking options. Having self-led, informed partners to exchange supportive feedback with can reduce distortions and other blocks to speed your learning and skill building. It is also more fun. We just reviewed 11 practice options for improving your mental awareness and effectiveness. Other powerful ways to improve your thinking efficiency are to observe how you use imaginary and instincts to form mental perceptions and behaviors, and how you process your perceptions. For example, logical inference, and deduction. These are beyond the scope of this article. Recap. This article is one of the series How to Communicate Effectively. One skill is effective versus fuzzy, scattered, unfocused, and vague thinking. This article offers a perspective on thinking, a definition of effective thinking, and factors that promote effective thinking. It proposes 11 options for imposing the effects of your mental processes. Key requisites are: keep your true self in charge of your personality. Lesson 1. Go clear professional and environmental awareness. Expand your vocabulary and learn effective communication basics and skills. Lesson 2. Pause, breathe, and reflect. Did you read this article? Did you get what you needed? If not, what do you need? Who's answering these questions? Your true self or somebody else? Thank you very much for listening to me. Comment, like, subscribe, hit the bell button. For donations or consultations, the email is down below. Thank you very much and have a nice day. Bye!